Callaway XR Pro. This is my old driver. So I've looked up the prices. You can get this club for around £100, subject to where you buy. This is a 9° Pro, XR Pro, the driver I gamed. Let's see what the numbers come out like, why I gamed it, and for around £100 in that second-hand market, is this one you should treat yourself to or not? Hello old friend, how are you doing? So let's look at the tech. Like I say, this is slightly more modern and comes in still a little bit more expensive than the others tested. So is there any bang for your buck in the extra money? First thing, we do get a changeable neck in this one. The neck is movable. I've got mine set as standard neutral. This is the Pro version. So there was a standard XR, which was bigger. It's got a forged crown, I think, this one. So the forged crown allows for optimizing where they put that weight for CGs and what have you. I think the CG on this one is quite low. It's a little bit less spinning, around 300 revs spinning than the standard XR. As you can imagine, in the Pro range, it's all about trying to dial in a little less spin. It's set up, the Callaway is saying, to appeal to better players, slightly smaller in its head appearance down by the ball. To me, it sits maybe half a degree open, which is something better players tend to go for. This one actually featured the R Moto face. So Callaway really trying to keep the ball speeds up across all parts of the face. And again, as we go into this more modern era, there's a lot more taglines going on with drivers. It's like a race to who can have the most taglines, to where we are now, where it's just full of lines that don't mean hardly anything. We saw this rib technology for aerodynamics and face crumpling, I think, here on the bottom as well. And this was a 440 head shape, so it was the Pro, the smaller head. Let's get it out on the range and on the course. How are you gonna do in these modern times, my old buddy? My old driver then, back in hand, XR Pro. So I think at the moment this is the most expensive of all of them. I'm 9°. This has basically come out of my loft the same way it went in. It is a good looking driver. The all black head sits squared and maybe a fraction open, which I then turn in. I wouldn't say it's the prettiest on top with this kind of tech for aerodynamics coming in, but the overall head I do like. It's quite stealth looking, to be honest. Feels good in the hand straight off the bat. Again, there's some familiarity for me here. It is such a good sound, it really is. Oh, that's a bomber. Absolute bomb. It's got this kind of nice medium to dull Callaway fuddy sound. Oh, that's out the bottom. That won't do as well, I'm sure. Yeah, it's short and spinny. That felt good again. God, that's short and quite spinny as well, that one. Just need a few better strikes. A bit heely, that one. Again, it's a bit spinny, just not quite getting it out of the middle. So the difference between the first and the last, slight unfair. Definitely slightly fadey, isn't it? Yeah, more realistic. Having to move it onto target now though, and I'm like trying to work it out. That's not fading, surely that one. Yeah, that's straighter and longer. Again, I need to get that feeling into me a bit more. Look at those numbers, it's jumping, isn't it? Or I'm really jumping on my performance. See if I can get a couple more like that out of it. Yeah, again, that's decent. Less carvy. I've kind of found a spot there in my head where I want to get it moving. One more then before we go on to the fairway test, which at the moment would not be doing very well, but with this new feeling, let's see if I can get that working slightly differently. Yeah, again, that's a more realistic number and not bad for direction. Let's take it to the course. Right, on the fairway, what can I do? Definitely want some of the better ones. The weaker ones are not going to work. Feel like I hit that quite good, but it's too carvy. Made the carry over the bunker, but that again, that pattern of going right, isn't it? What's quite funny with the hole that I choose to hit on is it actually requires a little pat cut, doesn't it? I quite like the fact that it pushes me, if I'm going to swing the way I'm doing here, really pushes me to my limits. That felt good. Yeah, that is good. That's one of the best drives I've hit in the fairway test. Right, can I repeat that? It's funny, isn't it? It's jumping around this one more than I'm used to jumping around. And how much is that club to me? I remember being able to hit this club as good as anything. Again, that felt good. Oh yeah, that's exactly the same. Arguably slightly better. Oh yes, please. Interesting, isn't it? I've had to find my way, and this is the beauty of custom fitting compared to not. Again, with all this series, yes, this is cheaper. Yes, the performance looks as good as anything out there, but I've had to work it out. If you go to a fitting, you work stuff out in the fitting and come away without having to do what I'm doing so much. Maybe, you know, I'm lucky enough to have a launch monitor here. This could be 5 rounds of play and you've already traded it in by then. Right, one more. I'm gonna absolutely go for this one. Let's see if I can hit target and send it, which at the moment the pattern is a high cut with that fault. Yeah, not great. So again, trying to cut the corner, but just not getting away with it. Really keen to look at the numbers. I think there's massive potential in here, but you could see me having to try and work that out. So let's look at the first number here, 269. First shot out the gun, just nailed. That slight toe hit, which is perfect for me. That's a huge hit. Like, that's £100 well spent straight off the bat. Spinning at 2-1. Look at the next shot though, 239, and a very different strike point on the face, much lower. And then some really weak ones, 241, 242, 247, then a 251, then bang, 273, straight out there with another ripper. So it has huge potential, doesn't it? So this club is averaging at 253, but like, I would be totally not wanting, unless it was something like just kept doing in a fitting. I don't really care what those ones are doing. You could argue that data set is more what I want to focus on, but with all the shots in, so my uglies in there, 253, so shorter, but it's not. Spinning at 254, again, if you take out all the uglies, it's spinning at 2-1. It's a low spinning driver. That's exactly where I'd imagine it would sit, a 264 and a 2-1 spin. So not my finest moment there at testing. That's probably the longest it took me to test any club in modern days to find out that, you know, those 4 to 5 hits that I would want to keep. But again, I wouldn't say that's the club. I gamed this club for a good season and some, and loved it and enjoyed it. And you can see why, because I mean, a 273 carry, for me, that one highlighted, is a bomb ball. Now, on the fairway, similar pattern, slight miss hit I guess on that first one. Yeah, low heel, carving it a bit to the right, 249, but then a 267, a 264 and a 258 in the last one, averaging 259 on try and hit the fairway. Spinning at 25, again, if I take that 28 out there, it's now averaging 263. Trying to hit fairway, spinning at 24, again, I'd want us to keep it around that 2-3 mark. Got 2-7 in there. Is that a low hit or heely one? That's quite a high spin considering, but I did deliver 21 degrees of loft, so maybe I could play with the loft with where I'm swinging at the moment, just dial that in a bit more. The numbers are as good as anything. My performance with it definitely jumped, which surprised me. But again, it is a 440 head shape. Maybe I'm not used to going back to that smaller head, now using bigger, but not normally a problem. I reckon if you tested that another day, it would take 3 or 4 shots to get the optimum numbers out of there. £100, I wouldn't say it's particularly performing better than anything else out there, but you are buying into that pro shape, looks, bit more design, changeable neck. So obviously for £100, I go and change my swing. I can dial in a different loft on this, where some of the other fixed ones that we've tested that have done as well as these in this series, maybe that isn't much of an option. So you do have a bit of growth time with this one, which is something that you should bear in mind with your second-hand purchasing. All right, getting a cheap one, but then you go and change your swing. Like, my swing's different there and is at the minute to how I swing. I was swinging it when I first originally used it. I mean, look at my club head speed, 108 to 110. That's like 5 to 7 mile an hour faster than I would have been swinging this club originally. Maybe just encouraging me to deliver a few different lofts, a few different angle of attack. So I would dial into this sleeve and get my money for that, where the fixed necks, I would have to be, right, putting it back on eBay or wherever I sell it to a mate, and then trying to buy a new one. It's that constant battle between price and what's best. Undoubtedly what's best, custom fit, get a new one, but you're going to spend more. If it's price driven, there's some great options out there. What driver do you want to see me test from any era? Post in that comment section down below. We can do it. We're stuck indoors. I've got my testing system here. Let's get it done. There are some great deals to be had in the second-hand market. I still can't stress enough how important it is that you get custom fit if you want to not waste money. You got to bear in mind, if I'm someone who pretty much understands my game, and most of these clubs I'm testing, I sold them. I have some idea of what they do. This one I actually gamed, so I can I'm still making some mistakes possibly, and I've got quite a lot of knowledge in what clubs would suit me. So you can see how you get, it's cheaper, but you get in a mess going this way, where if you just go and see a professional when we all open up again, you're going to get it nailed first time, but it might cost you a bit more money. Post comments down below. Let me know what club you'd like me to test. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Speak to you soon.